I saw an advertisement for Heaven Dust, which was a game I never heard of, and it just for whatever reason just caught my attention. I think it just had this like 90s survival horror aesthetic to it that just struck me. I checked it on Proton DB before I purchased it. There was 0 reviews on Proton DB, so nobody had played it and done a review yet. And normally I would be hesitant to purchase a game and be the first person to review it on Proton DB, but one, I thought we could do it and at least talk about it on the podcast. If it's an absolute failure, I can talk about it. The other idea that I had, or the other reason I went ahead and did it, is because you could get both games for less than $20. You can actually get the first Heaven Dust game for like $8. It's a
oh yeah, I see they have the bundle here. Yep.
Yeah, so that's what I did. I just picked up the bundle. They're both really short, so you kind of have to have both of them to get any get anything out of this, because I beat the first Heaven Dust game in just over 3 hours, and that was. I was like also watching things on my other screen, stepping away for a moment. I'm getting screen captures of all this because I want to make a video about it. And even with all that going on, I still beat the game in under 4 hours, way under. I mean, just over 3 hours. So it's a very, very short game, but that's why it's so cheap. That being said, this literally is a love letter to Resident Evil and to like 90s horror survival, because it's nostalgic towards that time period. So like if you grew up playing those types of survival horror games like Dino Crisis, like these games where it's like, okay, here's a door, it's got an impression in it, and how do I go find the puzzle piece that fits that impression so that I can open this door? Oh, well, it's in this fountain that I need to figure out what the hands on the clock by the fountain needs to be turned to in order to like it's
There's
that
this little shimmering thing on top of the fountain that you can barely see.
Right, yeah. It's that type of game, which is so funny because like who would ever do this? Who would ever build a mansion that it's like, you know what would be great to get to the basement? What if we had a fountain, right? Stay with me. We have this fountain that moves out of the way and allows you to go down, as long as you get the grandfather clock in the atrium set to 12:37. Like
in the atrium.
Like who decided to build this mansion this way? But like
talk about over engineering.
That's the way the puzzles work in the game, and it's really cool too, because it's like it's like you have like the clue to a puzzle in one part, and then you go to another part, and then you find a piece to another puzzle, and you're like, well, I can tell this is important. I'm gonna keep it, but I don't know what to do with it yet. And then it keeps sprawling, like sending you all over this map that you've already discovered and navigated, and it's in order to gain another inch. Like, okay, I can get into this room now, and then I look in this room. Oh, and what the hell's this thing? And then I'll put it in my bag and I'll use it later. And it's got a really limited bag space too, which honestly the game would be a lot easier if it wasn't for the bag space thing, because you're also having to decide, okay, well, I'm going to need the crank in order to, crank this valve to fill the room with gas, but I'm also going to need the lighter to light this oil on fire. And I'm also going to need, this other thing. And so you've only got 6 slots. And so you're
right.
trying to decide, okay, well.
Now, when you drop something, does it stay there forever and you can go back and pick it up? Or
Oh, no. So the only way you can drop something is by putting it in Resident Evil, where you have like an inventory box that you can go to.
Yep.
It works just like that. And the box is just like in Resident Evil, where it's magically like linked to the other boxes. So
okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you need something on one end of the map but you can't carry it, you can just drop it in the box and then go to the other box or whatever. You sometimes have to make a decision like, well, do I drop off my health potion so that I have enough space for this? Or maybe I don't need a magazine, but I'll still carry the gun that's already got 16 bullets. There's that whole aspect of it. The translation to English is it's not the worst I've ever seen, but it's not great. There's a lot of places in there where you read something and you're just like, That
What?
I knew all those words, but I don't know what they said. You know, like I
Right.
knew every word there, but it didn't make any sense. It's like such a literal translation. It's like no human would ever talk this way, so it's hard to follow, you know, in reading
Mhm.
it. You almost have to read it and then think about,
It's like a
okay,
Google Translate.
yeah, only Google Translate that's probably what they did. They probably just took all the lines of the game and put it in Google
Could
Translate
have.
and then put it in the game. But for that reason, some of the puzzles are hard to solve because like you're reading this note that's supposed to be a clue and it doesn't make any sense. It also has this vending machine. Every area has a vending machine, and in the vending machine, there's a map of the area, so you can buy a map, or you can just run around without a map as long as you. The whole game is not that large. You don't necessarily need maps, but it does make it easier. So I bought a map for every area, and then you can also buy magazines, not like magazines to a gun. These are like literal, like little magazines.
Hmm.
So there's like a health and fitness magazine. There's like a gun, like a guns and ammo magazine. But you know, you think, well, that's silly. Why would you buy those? Whenever you buy them, it like your character benefits from that. So like if you buy the guns and ammo magazine, which is the one I bought, I didn't buy any other magazines, but I would buy that magazine whenever I saw it available. It makes you have a higher crit chance basically. So because
Oh,
it's
okay.
in
So
your
you like learn
inventory.
something about it.
Yeah.
It's like almost experience.
Yeah, like I was sitting around reading that magazine and learn how to shoot these
I magically learned how to shoot everything.
I learned how to shoot these zombie lab technicians better. Um and so I would buy those. And the way you get the currency for this is by killing the zombies. So like
Okay.
there's sort of a trade-off. So like whenever you shoot a zombie, you come back to that spot later, there'll be shells on the ground there. And
Oh, okay.
then the vending machines sell gunpowder, and you can use the gunpowder to turn your old
Oh,
shells into
that's
bullets.
cool.
Yeah. Combat in the game is it's I played it mouse and keyboard, but there's a difference. If you're using a controller or if you're on the Switch, it kind of has this auto aim mechanism.
Okay.
I think it's easier if I explain mouse and keyboard first. So the mouse and keyboard style is sort of like the Metal Gear Solid style, where you know, you push the button for Solid Snake to pull out his gun, but then he kind of just turns on an axis, you know.
Yep. Yep.
Um,
As you move your mouse around.
right. So that's the way
Yep.
I played this game. The way it works with a controller is you hold down the key to have him pull his gun out, and then it auto aims. Like it
And you just pull the
automatically just
trigger.
points him, and then you just pull the trigger,
Oh,
which
okay.
is kind of lame. Like in some of the reviews I saw about this game, there was a lot of complaints about that. Now it was people that were reviewing it playing it on the Switch, so I assume it works that way all the
Mhm.
time on the Switch. I can see how that would kind of be lame because you're literally just anytime you see a zombie, you just hold the button down and then fire, 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 fire. You know, and eventually they're gonna die. Whereas I kind of got overwhelmed a few times doing it the way I was doing it. It's a really simple game, but like there was some kind of animation problems. So like sometimes if a zombie attacks you, their attack animation, like your animation from being bit, takes so long that they could bite you again before you can actually break free and run
Oh,
away. And I think that's a
that
flaw.
sucks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's an annoying part of the game. But because of that, without the auto aim, if you got like more than two zombies, if you get caught in that animation, you just die. Basically, the way the
Yeah, you're
game works
done.
is
Yeah.
if you get bit because of this animation flaw, if you get bit once, definitely twice, you're just gonna die. Like you're not gonna be able to get away from them because of this problem. I'm like,
Yeah, and it's nice to have a game that's short, once in a while, because you can actually complete something,
yeah, I don't really mind it. Yeah, that's another thing too. Is that's I think it's pretty short. Like maybe it's a tad too short. Like maybe they should like 2 hours is a lot better than one. You know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
now
yeah,
the people
yeah.
I see beating it in 1 hour, they had to have played through it before. They just know all the puzzles now, so they're just running
Mhm,
through fast.
mhm.
You know. But even at
Oh,
I
yeah.
beat it at 3 hours. I mean, that still seems like pretty dang short for a casual 3 hour run. Highly casual 3 hour run. But that being said, I think if you take both games as one, like if you picked up Heaven's Dust and Heaven's Dust 2, for under $20 and then played both of them, I'm guessing you're getting around 6 to 7 hours, maybe close to maybe even close to 8. If Heaven Dust 2 is harder than the first one, which I don't know that it is. I could be wrong about that assumption. I think that altogether is worth $20, and I don't mind it being short because it did kind of bring me something that I hadn't felt in a long time.